Welcome back to Extra Holiday Games. I'm Extra Holiday, and we ran out of lives. Oh no, it doesn't actually matter. Yeah, now we're just gonna continue doing the same level because, hey, guess what? Running out of lives only matters if you hit a checkpoint, and we haven't hit the checkpoint yet, so obviously that's a good thing. Yeah, it's fine. I'm curious. Why? I mean, it makes sense for a normal level, I guess, but like, why put in lives in the super world unless if it only resets you from a checkpoint? Also, we kind of seem to be at a some sort of standoff here, because I can't hit him and he can't hit me. So let me just do that, baby. That ought to fix it. Uh-oh. Okay, yeah, there was really no way for me to get out of that. Okay. All right. Got myself trapped. All right. It's pretty nice. Y'all didn't see it, but I was doing a head motion. I definitely lifted that head motion from Quagmire from Family Guy. I wonder how he holds up, because that's I feel like that's a potentially contentious character nowadays. Family Guy is still running, right? I feel like it is, because it's been running for a while. But like, specifically that character, Quagmire, to see how he holds up, how some of the older stuff holds up in today's culture would be interesting, I think. 'Cause, you know, a lot has changed. A lot has changed in the past 10 years or so. And I think it's probably been running for longer than 10 years, right? Family Guy. When did I start watching it? Well, I watched it when I was like 13, I think. So that would have been 13 years ago. Yeah, that's it. The show's been around for a while. Again, I'm assuming it's still running because I think it is, but I mean, if not, American Dad is, and that's basically the same show, so. And it's not a hot take, they've made that joke themselves. That's the thing about comedy, it helps to make yourself the joke, you know? Self-deprecating humor always hits. Well, it doesn't always hit, but it's always a safe bet, pretty much. Because it's a form of... Here's the thing. I've talked about... Might not have been in this series, but I've talked about the difference between punching up and punching down in comedy. And the basic idea is that if you're making fun of people who already get made fun of or don't have a lot of power to, you know, fight back against it, then, you know, it tends to be looked down upon. And rightfully so, right? It's effectively bullying at that point. And that's punching down. Punching up is if you make fun of someone who is more powerful. You know, it's the reason, you know, I can make fun of, you know, Joe Biden or something because, you know, theoretically what I say shouldn't matter to him because he's fucking president of America. Not that I actually have anything against Biden. I haven't actually been following politics since Trump left office, but anyway, not gonna get into that. Yeah, so that's the difference between punching up and punching down. And punching up is something that people are generally okay with, more so than punching down. And when you're doing self-deprecating humor, because you're the one telling the joke, theoretically, you're the one with the power. You're the one with the power to make the joke because you're telling a joke. So if you're making fun of yourself, that is pretty much automatically punching up. Because yeah, it's if someone else had the power to, in that moment, to be making the joke, then they would be making the joke, is kind of the idea. So yeah, self-deprecating humor. It's generally a pretty safe bet. And it's why I rely on it relatively often, because it's hard to offend someone making a self-deprecating joke. And that is in an age where more people are talking to more people than they would ever normally talk to. It's kind of important. And you know what? I said I wouldn't get into politics here, but let's talk about that. Let's talk about the idea that, a lot of the thing you'll hear from typically generations before mine, but a thing you'll hear from them a lot is like, oh man, people are so sensitive nowadays. I can't believe how you say one thing and they're all up in arms. Actually, I think I have talked about this, so I'll keep it brief. It's not that people are more sensitive. It's that more people are hearing what you have to say than before. So, of course, someone who is sensitive to that specific subject is more likely to hear it, right? It's a difference in audience, it's not a difference in the inherent nature of people. It's a difference in who is hearing what you're saying. You have a different audience now when you say something on the internet than you did when you were, chatting with friends, or even if you were on TV, it's a different audience. It's not that people are more sensitive. It's just, it's easier to find people who are sensitive to what you're talking about. And of course, everyone's got their sore spots, right? Like, everyone does. There's pretty much a button on any given person that you can push that will get them upset. And it's just easier to find that button when you're pushing a million buttons as opposed to 30. So yeah, that's a quick little delve into just a somewhat political subject, I guess. Because again, it's called PC culture, or at least it was 5 years ago. I don't know that people call it that now, but because PC, politically correct. And it gets made fun of a lot, but I think it actually just makes sense to be more considerate now than before. If only when you're talking on the internet. Or because it's just a larger audience. And that doesn't just apply to people making tweets on the internet. That's always applied. Yeah, it's not anything that's really new. It's always applied. The larger audience you have, the more likely you are to do something that people don't like. Or for someone to get upset at what you're doing, is what I'm saying. Like, that's always been a thing, right? Like, I'm trying to think of an example. But there are definitely examples that have happened pre-internet. Most of what I'm thinking of are things that people will normally get upset at. Right, because I could make the argument that, like, oh, well, Reagan... Was it Reagan? No, Clinton. Was it Clinton? I don't remember. One of the presidents that existed before I cared about who was president. They cheated on their wife. That's probably been multiple presidents, actually, now that I think about it. But, you know, when a president cheats on their wife, it's like, oh, that's obviously a big thing. But, like, if... actually, here's the thing. If we're talking about presidents, like U.S. presidents specifically, have you ever noticed that every single president we've had in the U.S. is some denomination of Christian? Like, maybe they're Catholic, maybe they're Protestant, Lutheran, whatever. And they're all some sort of Christian. And that's because if you're running for president and you're not Christian, then you lose the vote of the Christians, right? People, it's not exactly the same, I guess, but people will be less likely to approve of you and you being in the position of power that you're in if you're not Christian. Because, hey, guess what? It's the entirety of America that's watching. Whereas, you know, if you were just talking about even if it was still a subsect of America that was voting, say, but how do I want to? I'm having trouble phrasing this. But say, for some reason, this would be totally illegal, but say for some reason it was illegal for Christians to vote, so it's only the subsect of America that isn't Christian, you would not have at least nearly as many Christian presidents. It just wouldn't happen. Because the presidents wouldn't feel as pressured to be Christian, or more likely actually is that people who aren't Christian would feel more inclined to run for president. And that's just how the numbers make a difference. And yeah, again, I'm not saying that that's exactly the same, because that's a question of demographics. But then again, that's what we're talking about, is a wider demographic. And in that case, it is a wider demographic. In the case of reality, it is a wider demographic than just non-Christians voting. Although that is getting less and less true. I think. I don't have numbers on this, but it feels to me like people are getting less and less religious in the US. And I'm not going to say whether that's a good or a bad thing. I have my feelings on it, but it's a touchy subject, so I'm not actually going to go into that. That's something I'm actually not going to go into. But it seems like something that's true. Again, I don't have numbers in front of me, but it feels like it. Like, I myself am agnostic. I don't know if that's something I should reveal, but I'm saying it anyway. Yeah, I'm agnostic. I don't know where... I don't know if there is a God. I don't really care. I'm going to just do what I'm going to do anyway. And I feel like there's more people like me, more agnostic people in my generation, and more atheists, and more people who aren't especially religious than in previous generations. I think that's just true. Because pretty much all of my friends are in a same boat, either in the same boat or in a similar boat to me. Where it's like, either I don't know what religion is correct, or I don't think any of them are correct. Although technically I think atheism is a religion, I want to say. I mean, essentially it's the idea that you have faith that there is no higher being. So I guess technically it is a religion, but that could be a controversial statement, actually. I don't know. This is the part where I remind you to take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I am certainly not an authority on literally anything. Except for this Morton fight, which obviously I'm doing perfectly every time. Thus, I am obviously who you should listen to. Oh, I actually managed to get through. Okay, didn't do it there, but I'm screwed. If I had stalled a little longer, maybe I could have made it past, but it did not happen. Oh man, oh man. Dipping into controversial topics. Real smart move, Holiday. Definitely leaves you with a lot you can talk about. What even started that? What? Oh, right. I was talking about people being quote-unquote more sensitive. Now that's not a thing. Yeah, I mean, some of the same people who... Oh, no. I'm not going to say that. Well, okay, I'll say it, but I won't use specific examples. Some of the same people who are like, oh, people are so much more sensitive nowadays. You could easily say something... There are things you could easily say to make them upset. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that they lack the self-awareness to recognize that. I just don't want to get specific. As much as I want to get specific, I don't want to get specific. Because, hey, guess what? I'm on the internet, and there's a potential that a bunch of people could see this later. And granted, by the time that happens, it'll probably be, long since after I've said it, and I can claim, like, oh yeah, that was a long time ago. Maybe I don't believe that anymore, even though I don't see my mind changing on this anytime soon. But it is amusing to me. It's amusing. Ooh, okay. Did that wrong. It's fine. He's gonna run away. And I didn't jump high enough. Okay. Well, maybe I'll jump high enough next time. And maybe we won't talk about those same subjects next time. But as for this episode, that's a wrap. You're facing the wrong way, Toad.